Well, hello. I am that topping dude. And this series, I'm not sure at the time that we're recording this what we're going to end up calling it, but it's basically lyrical deconstruction for those for whom English is a second language. Now, I have a friend whose native language is not English, but he speaks it fluently, even speaks it better than Americans, if you know what I mean. Grammatically, he understands the language perfectly, he speaks it perfectly, but because he didn't grow up here in the United States where I am, he doesn't know a lot of our words, phrases, idioms, idiosyncrasies, colloquialisms. What are the other words? The things that we say that are weird to a foreign person. So I was always amazed at how perfectly he spoke and how many words he didn't know. And what we started doing was I started singing songs to him, and then we would go through the songs, through the lyrics, and I would explain each lyric to him. And it was so much fun for both of us. And I said, well, this could be something that people might enjoy watching. I don't know. Maybe you will think that it's the most boring fucking thing you've ever seen in your life. And maybe for some of you it will be. But I'm sure there are people who will enjoy this. So it's for them. It's probably a very small audience. Who cares? Who cares how small the audience is? If there's someone out there who is going to enjoy these, then I will do them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to sing a song, then we're going to go through the lyrics, and I will explain things that I think that a non-native English speaker may not know. Now, if you're a native English speaker, you're probably going to say, why are you telling us what these things mean if they're so obvious? They're not obvious to people who didn't grow up here. So anyway, so we'll sing the song, then I'll go through the lyrics, and then we'll sing the song again. So first you'll hear it cold, then you'll hear, okay, we're going to sing the song now. This is Ode to Billie Joe by Bobby Gentry. I think it's Gentry. If it's Gentry, I apologize to Bobby. Bobby Gentry is a woman, and this song is from the perspective. It's narrated by a girl. Now, how old the girl is, we're not sure. It's just pretty clear that it's a girl. She lives with her parents. She's out in the fields. You'll hear it all. Now, this is a story song. This has characters. This has location. It has events that happen. It has dialogue. It's really a story. Most songs are not story songs. Most songs are just like, oh, I love you, la, da, 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 and you love me, la, 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 and we love each other. Da, da. A lot of songs are better than that one, but that's a pretty good one. But it's not a story song. It's just, oh, I love you. Okay, we already did that. All right. Now, if you want to add music to this, and I hope you do, please send it in. We will we'll post a version of this video with your music on it. If it ever goes viral and if it ever makes any money, we'll make sure you get a cut of that money. I don't know how it's going to work out since this is a published song. We'll find that out as we go along. Okay, so if you do send music on the metronome, this is on 115, and here we go. Was the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day. I was out chopping cotton, and my brother was baling hay. And at dinner time, we stopped and walked back to the house to eat. And Mama hollered out the back door, y'all remember to wipe your feet. And then she said, I got some news this morning from Choctaw Ridge. Today, Billie Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And Papa said to Mama as he passed around the black-eyed peas, well, Billie Joe never had a lick of sense. Pass the biscuits, please. There's 5 more acres in the lower 40 I got to plow. And Mama said it was a shame about Billy Joe. Anyhow, seems like nothing ever comes to no good up on Choctaw Ridge. And now Billy Joe McAllister's jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And brother said he recollected when he and Tom and Billy Joe put a frog down my back at the Carroll County Picture Show. And wasn't I talking to him after church last Sunday night? I'll have another piece of apple pie. You know, it don't seem right. I saw him at the sawmill yesterday on Choctaw Ridge. And now you tell me Billy Joe's jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Mama said to me, child, what's happened to your appetite? I've been cooking all morning and you haven't touched a single bite. That nice young preacher, Brother Taylor, dropped by today. Said he'd be pleased to have dinner on Sunday. Oh, by the way, he said he saw a girl that looked a lot like you up on Choctaw Ridge. And she and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. A year has come and gone since we heard the news about Billy Joe. And brother married Becky Thompson. They bought a store in Tupelo. There was a virus going around. Papa caught it, and he died last spring. And now Mama doesn't seem to want to do much of anything. And me, I spend a lot of time picking flowers up on Choctaw Ridge and draw them into the muddy water off the Tallahatchie Bridge. I drop those flowers in the muddy water right there off the Tallahatchie Bridge. I drop those little flowers in the muddy, muddy water off the Tallahatchie Bridge now, bridge now. That is not how Bobby Gentry ends the song. She just sings the song, she ends it, and it's done. She's done. She doesn't go, Tallahatchie Bridge now, bridge now. She doesn't do that. She does not do that. All right. So there's the song. Okay, now we're going to go through it for you people who do not speak English. Now, one of the things, or who don't speak, who's English is not your first language. One of the things I really enjoy about doing this is that it's fun to teach, it's fun to explain, it's fun, but it's also fun because sometimes I think I know something. Turns out I didn't know what I thought I knew. Turns out I'm either wrong or maybe very inaccurate or maybe just a little inaccurate. So anyway, so let's go through this line by line. First of all, this song is an ode to Billy Joe. What the hell is an ode? All right. This is the Cambridge Dictionary. Their definition of ode is a poem expressing the writer's thoughts and feelings about a particular person or subject, usually written to that person or subject. All right. It was the 3rd of June. It's June 3rd. Another sleepy, dusty Delta day. What the hell is a Delta day? Okay, well, Bobby Gentry comes from Mississippi. and she comes from the Mississippi Delta. Now, this got me very confused when I went to look up things. Let me see what I got here. The Mississippi Delta. Okay, so let's view this file. Let's view that a little bigger. So here we have a map of the United States, and this is Florida here. You might recognize that, and Texas is over here. Now, in between, up here is Georgia. Next to that is Alabama, and then this is Mississippi, and this is Louisiana, and this is Arkansas. I'm pretty sure I got those right. My apologies if I got any of them wrong. And so I always thought that the Mississippi Delta was the where the river let out at New Orleans, around New Orleans, at the bottom of Louisiana. Well, it turns out I'm I was both right and wrong. This is the Mississippi River Delta. This is the where the Mississippi River lets out into the Gulf of Mexico. And you see it creates sort of a delta. And a delta is the Greek letter, I think it's the Greek letter D, but it's sort of shaped like an A. And if you think of, oh, I should just bring it up. If you think of oops, Delta Airlines, let's see, it's sort of like it's sort of like an A, kind of an A, not exactly, but sort of. And so that's the delta. Now that's the Mississippi Delta where it lets out, but there's also a Mississippi Delta, which is an area that's more inland, and that's this little part here. It's part of Mississippi. This side is the Mississippi River. It's shaped by the Mississippi River. I'm assuming that this other side is shaped by a different river. I don't know. People from Mississippi, or especially anyone from the Mississippi Delta, you might want to tell us more details that I'm getting wrong or getting vague. But anyway, that's the area of the song that we're talking about is the Mississippi Delta, this region. Okay, let's get back to the lyrics. Well, the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day. So we're in the South. We're in the southern United States. It's sleepy. Now, I've never been, I haven't spent very much time in Mississippi. I've been there, but not for very long. So I don't know if it's dusty. I am assuming that Bobby Gentry, having been coming from there, is telling us the truth. It's sleepy, it's dusty. It's another sleepy, dusty Delta day. All right. So what is dust? Dust are those particles in the air that just float around. If you take a flashlight, a flashlight beam, you can see them floating around, and they're just all around, and then they settle, and then it eventually gets to this. Like this is a table that had a lot of dust, and someone took their finger and wrote the word dust in it, and but those little tiny particles. That's dust. So we have to take Bobby Gentry's word for it that Mississippi is a very dusty place. I was out chopping cotton. My brother was baling hay. So they work on a farm. And normally I think of cotton as picking cotton rather than chopping cotton. I meant to investigate that a little further and I forgot to. So maybe if anyone knows the difference between chopping cotton and picking cotton, is it the same thing? Or do you chop it first and then pick it? I don't know. But anyway, but they're out in the field, and the field is connected to where they live. And the brothers baling hay. Now, baling hay. Remember, Americans, you're going to say, why am I telling you what baling hay is? Of course, everyone knows what baling hay is. No. If English is not your first language, you may not know what baling hay is. You may know what it is when you see pictures of it, but you don't know the words. Now, this is a bale of hay. Now, I always thought that baling hay was taking a pitchfork, shoving it into the hay, slinging it over to where. Now, that's part of the process, but that's not the whole thing. I always thought that was baling. I thought with the pitchfork, I thought that was baling hay. That's merely part of the process. Baling hay is putting hay into these bales. This big roll of hay is a bale. And that's a bale of hay, and so making it is baling hay. These square bales are probably what they had where Bobby Gentry lived, I'm guessing. But I bet I'm right. Here's a nice square one. Nice square bale of hay. Okay, so we're in the South, man. I was chopping cotton. Cotton grows in the South. I don't think it grows anywhere else. I don't know if it's only capable of growing in the South. I just don't think it's grown many other places, at least in the United States. I could be wrong. Always I could be wrong. Just send us anything I get inaccurate, put it in the comments. If I get it way off, I'll do another video with corrections. Okay. And at dinner time, we stopped and walked back to the house to eat. Okay, so there we're in their farm, and Mama hollered out the back door, "Y'all remember to wipe your feet." Okay, so this tells us that these are children still living with their parents. Now, the fact that they're working out in the fields indicate indicates to me that they're probably older children, like teenagers. So, and Mama hollered, "It's a hey, y'all remember to wipe your feet." That's what hollering is. And y'all. Now, this word y'all, where the hell? Yeah. Y'all. It's a Southern word. It's a contraction of you all, y'all, you all, hey, you all over there, hey, y'all over there. But the thing about it being used in the South is that it doesn't have to be plural. At least where I came from. I'm not from Mississippi, but I am from the South. I lived in the South as a kid, and I used to say y'all all the time. I used to have a Southern accent. And we would say, if there was one person standing there and across from me, and no one else was in the room, and say, "Could you hand that to me?" We would say, "Could y'all hand that to me? Could y'all get that for me right there?" Even if it was only one person. Now, I haven't been in the South for a long time now, and so I don't say y'all anymore. I will sometimes say it, but it's usually consciously. I'll say it consciously for one reason or another. So, and the fact that she's telling them to remember to wipe your feet, that's another clue that these are kids, children, not necessarily small children, but a mother, it's such a mom thing to say, don't forget to wipe your feet. All right. And then she said, I got some news this morning from Choctaw Ridge. Today, Billie Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Hmm. Okay, now Choctaw Ridge. Now, Choctaw is a Native American tribe. Now, because of my age and where I come from, it's I almost automatically say Indian when I'm talking about Native Americans, but we call them Native Americans now because when the settlers came in, took over the land and they saw Native Americans, because their skin was dark, the only people that they knew that had dark skin before were people from India, and so we called them Indians, and it stuck for a long time. And a lot of people still do call them Indians, but we should call them Native American because they're not from India. It's sort of an insult. Anyway, she doesn't use the word Indian in this song. This is just an aside, but Choctaw is an Indian name, it's a Native American name. And Choctaw Ridge is apparently a place. I couldn't get that much information on Choctaw Ridge. Where is it? Well, this is Tallahatchie County. There's not a town. There's a in the song she talks about the Tallahatchie Bridge, and there because it's over the Tallahatchie River, and there's a Tallahatchie County, but there's not, as far as I can tell, there's not a town called Tallahatchie. All right, and there's a closer view. Here's the state of Mississippi. This is where Tallahatchie, the county of Tallahatchie is, and it looks like it's about approximately where the Mississippi Delta is. So we're in the Mississippi Delta region, different from the Mississippi River Delta. The Mississippi River Delta, it's confusing. Okay, there's 5 fucking verses here. We've only gotten through verse 1. So let us continue. All right. Papa said to Mama as he passed around the black-eyed peas. All right, black-eyed peas. Now we are entrenched in the South. It's a dusty Delta day. they're chopping cotton and they're baling hay, and y'all remember to wipe your feet and pass around the black-eyed peas. So Bobby Gentry, excuse me, really is evoking the South. Black-eyed peas, you can get black-eyed peas anywhere in the United States, but they're most popular in the South. Like tonight, there's going to be black-eyed peas on way more dinner tables in the South than the rest of the country. And the ones in the rest of the country are mostly going to be from people who grew up in the South and moved somewhere else. So let's see what black-eyed peas look like. You may or may not know. And oh yes, and I meant to mention this also. Do not get the Tallahatchie Bridge mixed up with Tallahassee. Tallahassee is a city in the panhandle of Florida up at the top of the state. That's a different place. So it's not Tallahassee, it's Tallahatchie. Okay. Oh, here's the picture. These were the Choctaw. This doesn't really show a good picture. There was a point I wasn't even sure if Choctaw Ridge existed, but I opened MapQuest. From where I live in Los Angeles to Choctaw Ridge is a 27-hour drive if you don't stop to use the bathroom or get gas or eat. If you just go straight, I guess just you have to wear Depends so that you can use the bathroom without stopping, and have something to, most people are going to stop and eat. But if you just did the whole drive without stopping, you'd have to stop for gas. So add about an hour. All right. Anyway, let's see what else is. Okay, here are the black-eyed peas. They are delicious. Trust me. Well, and they're definitely delicious if you're from the South. I don't know what other people think. And there's also a group called the Black Eyed Peas. Don't get it confused with them. We're not talking about the music group. We are talking about the food. And they have little black eyes in them, as you can see, as promised. The name promises that the peas will have black eyes. Okay, so Papa said to Mama as he passed around the black-eyed peas. Now Papa's talking now. Well, Billy Joe never had a lick of sense. Pass the biscuits, please. Biscuits are little pastries, that you eat. They're, we're not talking about in England. They'll call a cookie a biscuit. We're not talking about that. We're talking about hot biscuits that are fluffy. They're little puffy pastries. They go great with gravy. They're on very many Southern dinner tables. Pass the biscuits, please. But here's what it's like. Billy Joe never had a lick of sense. Now, what does that mean? What, he didn't have a lick of sense? Well, let's see what Merriam-Webster has to say about it. Now, I always trust, whenever I look up a definition on the internet, I never completely trust, the first definition that comes up where all these, there's all these different websites that'll have different definitions. To make sure I'm accurate, I always go to Merriam-Webster. They're the source for me. And a lick of sense there's a lot of definitions of lick, but the one we're looking for, where the hell is it? I saw it yesterday. Oh, here it is. A small amount, a bit. Billy Joe never had a lick of sense. He didn't have even a little bit of sense in his head. That's the kind of thing that Southerners say, he don't have a lick of sense. Now, he could be the smartest person in the world, and they can still say Billy Joe don't have a lick of sense. All right. He never had a lick of sense. Well, and he said, oh, no wonder he jumped off the Tallahassee Bridge. That boy never had a lick of sense to begin with. Okay. Now, there's 5 more acres in the lower 40 I got to plow. Well, first of all, let's see what a plow is. A plow is an implement. It's to use, cut, lift, and turn over soil, especially preparing a seed bed. And here's some pictures of plows. Some of them are modern and like a truck is pulling them. Some of them, there's a big one, but they're not all. There's an old-fashioned one that you have to push yourself. There's a snow plow. Let's see what else they got. And there's one in here that's a horse. Yeah, there's a plow being pulled by a horse, and the person guides it, and the horse does all the heavy lifting. So that's what a plow. They're and so Papa has there's 5 more acres in the lower 40 he's got to plow. Now I said what plowing is, so maybe you can figure this out for yourself, but just so you know, an acre is a division of land. This is from a site called this is from a site called Rethority, and it's about how big is an acre. And you scroll down here, scroll down, and then you eventually get to this picture, and they're telling us it's equal to 16 tennis spurts. I do not know what a tennis spurt is. Did they mean court and that was a dictation problem? 16 tennis spurts. I think they must mean tennis courts. It's about 75% of a football field, and we're talking about American football, not international football, what Americans call soccer. 70 yardsticks, 242 sedans, 18 suburban homes, 1,594 potatoes, 696,960 posted. Okay, we get the idea. Okay, I think this is 75% of a football field is better. Now, why does he say there's 5 more acres in the lower 40? All right. Now this is new to me. I learned this just finding out stuff about this song. 40 acres is a common amount for a farm or a ranch to have. They must have a big place because they have more than 40 acres. Now he's saying the lower 40, that suggests there's an upper 40 or at least more land. Maybe there's a middle 40. Maybe they have 120 acres of land. Anyway, but that's what that's about. Well, I like that Bobby Gentry sort of captures this family sharing bad news. They all know who Billy Joe is, and he jumped off the Tallahassee Bridge. Oh, wow. Well, and Pop said, well, that boy never had a lick of sense, and there's 5 more acres in the lower 40 I got to plow. He's not even concerned that much about Billy Joe. He's probably like surprised. Oh, he jumped off the Tallahassee. Oh, yeah, whatever. Whatever. I got 5 more acres to plow. That's what's on my mind. All right. And Mama said, well, it's a shame about Billy Joe anyhow. And that's the kind of thing a Southern woman would say, like, hey, Billy Joe jumped off the Tallahassee. Yeah, whatever. I got 40 acres. He's changing the subject. And, well, it's a shame about Billy Joe anyhow. So this really, this really evokes the Southern atmosphere, which is, I think, one of the reasons the song was so popular. Seems like nothing ever comes to no good up on Choctaw Ridge, and now Billy Joe McAllister has jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Well, 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 well. Okay. Now, Brother said he corrected when he and Tom and Billy Joe put a frog down my back at the Carroll County Picture Show. Now, a picture show is a movie. And you may have heard of the movie The Last Picture Show. It was a famous film from 1971, won a lot of Academy Awards, launched a lot of careers. And that movie is about a small town where they have a movie theater and it's closing down, and they have one last movie that they show before it closes down. And that very last movie they show, that's the last picture show. That's what they mean. The last movie. When Brother said he recollected when he and Tom and Billy Joe, just to make sure you know that word, recollected means remembered or, yeah, recall. And wasn't I talking to him after church last Sunday night? Now the brother's talking. I'll have another piece of apple pie. You know, it don't seem right. I saw him at the sawmill yesterday on Choctaw Ridge. I got very confused as to what a sawmill was because when I brought up the pictures of sawmills, it was just the machines. And these machines that saw wood, the machines themselves are called sawmills, which I did not know. I thought that a sawmill was the building that these machines were probably housed in. And it got very confusing for me because I couldn't find. I said, "Well, and I said, well, let's look at the definition." And the definition of a sawmill is a mill or machine for sawing logs. And I said, "Okay, so what's a mill? Isn't a mill a building?" And a mill is a building with machinery for processing, especially grain, but it really, any building or collection of buildings with machinery for manufacturing. And they give the example of a paper mill and steel mills, but they don't give sawmills. But I started to wonder, is a sawmill not a building? Was I wrong all these years? Well, finally, here in the Wikipedia, I finally found a picture of a sawmill. This is a sawmill. It's not the machine, the sawmill. There may be the machine sawmills inside, but it is a building where they saw things, probably with sawmills. And now you tell me Billy Joe's jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. So the brother is saying, something's weird going on here. Something weird's happening here. All right, let's see what's next. Mama said to me, child, what's happened to your appetite? Now she's talking to the narrator, the girl who sings the song, who's narrating the song. Mama said to me, child, what's happened to your appetite? I've been cooking all morning. I haven't touched a single bite. Oh, I should say appetite, just in case you don't know that word. An appetite is how hungry you are. If if you have a big appetite, it means you're really hungry. And if you have no appetite, it means you're not hungry. And you've heard bon appetit, good appetite, like enjoy your food. She's saying, "Oh, what's happened to your appetite? You've been cooking all morning. You haven't touched a single bite." Now this is interesting now because it's this talk about Billy Joe that has made her lose her appetite. It's like, and the brother's like, "Something don't seem right. It don't seem right." And what's happened to your appetite? You haven't touched a single bite. So it's like, so the girl narrator knows something. Now, that nice young preacher, Brother Taylor, dropped by today, said he'd be pleased to have dinner on Sunday. Oh, by the way, now, preachers having dinner with members of their congregation, that's a very Southern thing. I think that they're just getting free dinners, to tell you the truth, but it brings them closer to God. And that nice young preacher, Brother Taylor. Now, is he their brother? Is he related to them? No. Brother, to call a preacher, you know, like his Taylor's his last name. Oh, I think I am assuming it's his last name. Maybe it's his first name. Whatever the case is, they call him Brother Taylor. And that is in some Christian denominations, particularly in the South, they will refer to a preacher as Brother Taylor in this case, or brother whoever. So it's different from her brother who is related to her. They both have the same parents, but Brother Taylor is someone from a completely different family, but they call him brother because of the church they go to. That's how they talk about their preacher. That's how they identify their preachers. So anyway, she was talking to Brother Taylor. You know that nice young preacher? He said he saw a girl that looked a lot like you up on Choctaw Ridge. And she and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Really? So why? Her losing her appetite. Something don't seem right. She's losing her appetite, and then Billy Joe jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. He saw someone looked a lot like you. Well, okay. Now a year has come and gone. She got off. It seems like she had something to do with it, but she got off the hook. A year has come and gone since we heard the news about Billy Joe and brother married Becky Thompson. They bought a store in Tupelo. Now there is a Tupelo, Kansas, which is a little more famous, but there is a Tupelo in Mississippi, and she's clearly talking about Tupelo, Mississippi. I don't know for sure, but I would bet it's probably in Tallahatchie County. There was a virus going around. Papa caught it and he died last spring. This was written in 1967, or it was released in 1967 anyway, so perhaps suggests that modern medicine had not caught up with viruses. And now Mama doesn't seem to want to do much of anything. All right. And me, I spend a lot of time picking flowers up on Choctaw Ridge and drop them into the muddy water off the Tallahatchie Bridge. So she and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And now the narrator gets nervous. Brother Taylor's talking about they're talking about Billy Joe and she's lost her appetite. And there's kind of some suspicion that she may have had something to do with Billy Joe jumping off the Tallahatchie Bridge, but they just saw him throwing something off. And in the last verse, she says she likes to pick flowers and throw them off the Tallahatchie Bridge. So it sort of just adds to the mystery. Is that the answer? Is that what she was she just throwing flowers off, or was she doing more than that? Huh? Well, we don't know. Anyway, if you jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge, would you die? And it's sort of it's implied in the song that he jumped off the bridge and died, even though she never says he died. And I know that there are people who, it, especially people on the spectrum, so to speak, if you don't, if you just imply it without saying it, they won't get it. If to say that Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge implies that he died, but there are people who, if you don't say that and therefore he died, it doesn't even occur to them. And I said, oh, well, obviously he died, but well, she never did say that he died. No one ever says he's dead now. No one ever said he's passed. No one ever said it's the late Billy Joe. He just jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Now, we always assume he died, but would you die if you jumped off this bridge? It must. Now, this has always made me wonder about jumping off of bridges and dying. Like, here's the Golden Gate Bridge. I've been told, I've heard rather, that if you jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, you'll die. Now, it seems to me this is a much bigger bridge than any of the pictures of any of those Tallahatchie bridges we saw, but still, it doesn't seem like you'd die. It would be a far jump, but apparently you do. Now, uh, in the case of the Golden Gate Bridge, these waters are very, very cold. You can't tell how cold they are just looking at them because California is so sunny and it's deceitful that you don't realize just how freezing cold these waters are. And I think that's part, like, even if you survive the jump, you're not going to be able to swim back to land. You're going to die first and drown, I guess. And also the same with the George Washington Bridge. Yes, it's a big bridge, but would you really die? I guess the answer is yes, because people jump off of it all the time. Well, I don't know about all the time, but enough people have jumped off of it and died that seems to be the way to go. But, we have to assume that Billy Joe jumped off the Tallahatchie, and maybe, and there must only be one Tallahatchie Bridge. Let's see, this one, where is it clearly identified? There's lots of pictures of Bobby Gentry when you bring up the Tallahatchie Bridge. Okay, Tallahatchie, where is it, the Tallahatchie Bridge? Can't find a definitive picture of the Tallahatchie Bridge. Well, it says this is it. Would you really die if you jumped off that? I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like you dive jumping off any bridge, but the implication is that yes, he died. At least that's what we're supposed to think. But she never says it. Okay, here we go. Now, this is the other stuff I wanted to say. You see here that Bobby Gentry, ode to Billy Joe. Now, she spells Billy Joe Billie, even though there is evidence in the lyrics I that Billy Joe is a guy. Okay, yeah. Wasn't I talking to him after church last Sunday night? So So now we know that even though Billie Joe, the Billie is spelled traditionally, it's when a woman is named Billie that it's Billie, and it's usually Billy. If it's a guy like Billy Wilder is Billy. He's a male director. There's Billie Burke is an actress, a famous actress from the old days. She's a woman. Billie Holiday is a famous singer, one of my favorites, and she is a woman. So it's not that common to call to for a guy named Billy to spell it this way, but it's not it's not unheard of either. Now the thing was, people were really captured by this song. People were really captured by it because I said that the fact that it evoked so much Southern imagery was part of the reason that it was so popular. But it's also, I think it captured people because they said, "What happened? Why did Billy Joe? And did she have something to do with it? Did the narrator have something to do with it?" And there's mysterious, unanswered questions, and people are like, "Oh, Billy Joe McAllister." I mean, it's like this. I think people, to some extent, believed that this fictional story was true in their mind. We make it up and believe it in our heads. The song was so popular that they made a movie out of it. The movie was called Ode to Billy Joe, but look, oh, they've changed the spelling. The song is clearly Billy Joe, Billie, and then the movie comes out and it's Billy. Here's another picture, a Max Baer film of Bobby Gentry's song, Ode to Billy Joe. What the song didn't tell you, the movie will. So they had to come up with a reason that Billy Joe jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. They didn't want to leave that unanswered, and that was going to be their tagline, that all these years of mystery that you've been wondering what happened, why Billy Joe, the movie's going to tell you. Well, let me tell you, baby. The reason in the movie that Billy Joe jumps off the Tallahatchie Bridge is because the night before he's drunk and he has sex with a man. He has sex with another man and he can't live with himself. It's so horrible that he jumps off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And that's why in the movie he jumps off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Now, that's about the most homophobic cop out you can come up with that but it was a homophobic time. When did this movie come out? I forgot when the movie came out, but it was the 70s. It was definitely the 70s because Robbie Benson played Billy Joe. Robbie Benson was a very big movie star for about an hour, about a whole hour. He was in Ice Castles. This was a big film. You probably have not even heard of it now, but it has Robbie Benson, Colleen Dewhurst, and Tom Skerritt. One on One. This was a Robbie Benson film, really, really popular film about a guy in college playing basketball. Ode to Billy Joe was directed by Max Baer. He was Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies. If you remember, there's grandpa and there's grandma and there was the daughter and Jethro. And Jethro was played by Max Baer. And he went on to become a director and he directed the film version of Ode to Billy Joe. And the fact that the fact that they made having sex with a man the reason that Billy Joe jumps off the bridge because in those days you could not show gay characters unless they died. They always had to die for their sins. They were either killed or in this case they killed themselves. And it was the old story. Gay characters always have to die. They have to die or go to at least go to prison. They don't get to live free their lives as gay people. And same with lesbians. It didn't matter if you were a gay man or a gay woman. Anyway, fucked up reason for Billy Joe to jump off the Tallahatchie Bridge. All right. Oh, I should say one more thing. Some of these songs, this song has a lot of incorrect grammar, but it's the way they talk in the South. Like this line, and she and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Now, it should, if you're really good at grammar, then you probably know it should be she and Billy Joe were throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. That would be correct. But she says was, which is incorrect, but that's very common to talk that way in the South. Yeah, she and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Grammatically incorrect, but it's just the way they talk. It's the local dialect. So so we accept that. Now you know all the words. Let's sing it once more. Then we'll be done. All right, here we go. Was the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day. I was out chopping cotton, and my brother was baling hay. And at dinner time, we stopped and walked back to the house to eat. And Mama hollered out the back door, y'all remember to wipe your feet. And then she said, I got some news this morning from Choctaw Ridge. Today, Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And Papa said to Mama as he passed around the black-eyed peas. Well, Billy Joe never had a lick of sense. Pass the biscuits, please. There's 5 more acres in the lower 40 I got to plow. And Mama said it was a shame about Billy Joe anyhow. Seems like nothing ever comes to no good up on Choctaw Ridge. And now Billy Joe McAllister's jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And brother said he recollected when he and Tom and Billy Joe put a frog down my back at the Carroll County Picture Show. It wasn't funny. And wasn't I talking to him after church last Sunday night? I'll have another piece of apple pie. You know, it don't seem right. I saw him at the sawmill yesterday on Choctaw Ridge. And now you tell me Billy Joe's jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Mama said to me, child, what's happened to your appetite? I've been cooking all morning and you haven't touched a single bite. That nice young preacher, Brother Taylor, dropped by today. Said he'd be pleased to have dinner on Sunday. Oh, by the way, he said he saw a girl that looked a lot like you up on Choctaw Ridge. And she and Billy Joe was throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge. A year has come and gone since we heard the news about Billy Joe. And brother married Becky Thompson. They bought a store in Tupelo. There was a virus going round. Pop caught it and he died last spring. And now Mama doesn't seem to want to do much of anything. And me, I spend a lot of time picking flowers up on Choctaw Ridge. and drop them into the muddy waters off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Yeah, yeah, I dropped them flowers in the muddy water off the Tallahatchie Bridge now, the bridge now, the bridge now, the bridge now, the muddy Tallahatchie Bridge, yeah, Tallahatchie Bridge, yeah. Tallahatchie, okay, Bobby Gentry does not sing it like that. She doesn't do that ending. She doesn't do it. She just ends the song. She's done and she ends it and she's done. Funny thing about this song is that it doesn't have a bridge. Now, most, in this case, there's five verses, and musically, all five verses are exactly the same. Most songs have a bridge where they kind of break from that, just to kind of break up the monotony of hearing the same verse over the same tune over and over. Like if this had a bridge. Let me see. I'll sing the end of one line and the beginning of the next line, and I'm gonna spontaneously put a bridge in between. And now you tell me Billy Joe jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Well, now that Tallahatchie Bridge, as I was telling my good friend Midge, and she opened up the fridge. And I said, Midge, just take a smidge. Oh, yeah, a smidge. Mama said to me, child, what's happened to your appetite? Okay, so that was a bridge. I mean, that was a silly one. It was a stupid one. It was a dumb one. I just made it up on the spot. She never would have put it in. But it's kind of funny because it's a song about a bridge, and yet it has no bridge. What? What? How could that be? And yet it is. All right. So I hope that you learned something. If you didn't learn something, know English too well. Even I learned something. So you know it better than I do. So there's no reason for you to be here. Unless you just enjoyed it, and then you're totally welcome. I mean, if you made it to the end, I have a feeling that's really rare. Okay. We're done, done, get done, 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 done. We're done with Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry, yeah. Ode to Billy Joe. Now, if you do the music for this song, you have to do this music for this part I'm making up right now, too, as well, please. Do, 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 do. We're done, 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 done. We're done with Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry. Yes, we're done, 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 done with Ode to Joe. Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry. Yeah, we're done. We're done, 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 done. We're done with Ode to Billy Bud. We're done. We're done with Ode to Billy Bud. We're done with we're done with Ode to Billy. We're done with Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry. We're done with Ode to Billy Joe with Billy Joe. We're done with Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry. Well, one thing I like about it, I kind of like that it's like I like that it's called Ode to Billy Joe because it's like he died, he's forgotten. It's just like we should write an ode for him. Just just let him know he was remembered before he jumped off the bridge. Why did he jump off the bridge? Don't listen to the movie. Fucking homophobic bullshit. That's not why he jumped off the bridge. They made that up because they're homophobes. It was the late 70s and everyone was still in the closet and everyone was still homophobic. Well, a lot of people still are, but even more were back then. Everybody was back then, pretty much. It's not why he jumped off the bridge. All right. See you next time. See you next time on Lyrical Deconstructions for those for whom English is a second language. Just rolls off the tongue. It's just so beautiful. Possibly, it's possibly the best title in the history of titles. Lyrical Deconstructions for those for whom English is a second language. Catchy, very catchy. See you next time.